And now we continue our look at alternatives to going to university. Hopefully everybody has received the grades they wanted this morning, but sadly we know that won't be the case. So if you suddenly find yourself not being able to go to university because you didn't get the grades, then it is not the end of the world. We heard earlier from Gemma Wombwell, who talked about taking an accountancy course with the AAT whilst working for a company. As she says, she's got money in her pocket for holidays and etc., while her friends haven't. Well, now we're going to talk to Sarah Clover. Sarah is from Cherry Hinton and runs the website notgoingtouni.co.uk. I talked to Sarah earlier this morning and put it to her that this is a funny old time for a lot of youngsters.
The problem that we have at the moment is obviously there was a dramatic increase in the number of applications for university places, and because of the government cap on the universities, there is now a massive unplaced cohort. So we have 170,000 plus young people who have not got into university. This is having a knock-on effect on other areas such as vocational training. The recent figures for the BT apprenticeship scheme alone, they've got more applications than there were to Oxford University, which is making it very, very tough for young people to find something to do once they've finished their A-levels.
And the situation is compounded this year, isn't it? Because youngsters who weren't fortunate enough to get a place last year have found themselves working on a gap year, doing whatever, and now they are also in competition for these places, and so it has a knock-on effect.
Absolutely so, and that's part of the reason that I'm actually encouraging young people to look at alternative ways to achieve their career goals rather than deferring going to university for a year, because as you mentioned, it's just compounding the issue the following year. So I'd say look at other things that you can do, look at other ways that you can go. There is employer funded study. Logica have a fabulous programme whereby you get a job, you do your 3 years, you come out of it with a degree in business management and you haven't incurred any debt. There are ways to get a degree for a fraction of the cost of a full-time course, such as distance learning. That's another great option because it also allows you to work and get the hands-on practical skills that employers want, and you can study flexibly. So there are ways that you can still continue your study, you can still get a degree, but I would say don't rely on getting into university.
So you've mentioned a few alternatives there, but how do youngsters find out about them? Because you can understand it. Parents have inculcated in their children from day one almost that it's all about education, to do well in primary school, to do well in your next school, to do well at sixth form, and then you go to university. That's the way it is for so many people. So how do you suddenly say, well, maybe there isn't a university place for you, these are the alternatives? What do they do physically?
Well, I mean, you're very right. Young people are under a phenomenal amount of pressure to go to university. There was a survey done by the Edge Foundation, and they found that 37% of young people felt pressured into university by their teachers, 28% by their parents, and 20% said that it was pretty much the only option that was discussed during careers guidance. So young people are very much forced down a particular route. What I found, which is quite sad, is that people who are current graduates who are struggling to find a graduate level job, so they almost feel duped because they were told to go to university, led to believe that once they'd got their degree there would be a huge crowd of employers waiting for them at the university gates, sort of saying, come and work for me, come and work for me. That isn't the case. So they feel like they've effectively wasted 3 years, and all they've done is incur a massive debt. So young people are actually very interested in the alternatives, but it is hard to find out the information, and that is why notgoingtouni.co.uk exists.
So tell us about notgoingtouni.co.uk. They log on to your website. What happens then? I mean, if I was going in there blind today, what would I do?
Right. Well, basically, it's a very easy to use website. On there, we have information about a wide range of opportunities, such as the apprenticeships, vocational training, foundation degrees, gap year options, voluntary work. There's also an advice section where we cover off, the benefits of going to university, why you might not go to university. We also have CV writing and interview tips, advice for young job seekers. We have a big stack of case studies, a lot of them now on video, so that young people can actually see from other young people, what they get from exploring certain routes. And generally, it's very well received. What we do also have, which is of particular relevance today, is our Results Day Survival Guide, which is an online publication. It's free to download. And in there is a huge wealth of information on all of the different choices that young people are likely to be facing today.
Because for every youngster we'll see on the 6 o'clock news tonight, screaming and kissing their colleagues and waving their piece of paper about because they've got fantastic grades and they've got into one of the good universities, there'll be many, many others for whom today is a pretty miserable experience.
Sadly, that is the case. The record number in applications for university places sadly means that there are going to be a lot of disappointed young people. But my message to them, and the message from Not Going to Uni, is don't panic. There are loads of ways you can achieve your career goals. Have a look on the website, go through our guide, drop us a line, give us a call, and we will do what we can to help.
Did you go to university?
No, I didn't go to university. My teachers strongly advised me to, because I was, and hopefully still am, academically bright enough. But because the subjects that I was most interested in were English and history, and I didn't really want to be a teacher, I didn't really see the point. So I actually went off and joined the British Gas apprenticeship scheme and trained and worked as a service engineer.
A good advert for not going to university there. Sarah Clover, it was a delight to talk to her earlier today. If you want details of the website, and I've had a look and it's a terrific website, very easy to follow, although otherwise I wouldn't have been able to. It's www.notgoingtouni.co.uk. Notgoingtouni.co.uk. If you missed that and you'd like to know more because you are a youngster who needs a bit of help, or indeed you are a family member of a youngster needing a bit of help, then give us a call, 08459 25 2000, and we'll point you in the direction of Sarah's website.